I think.
I was trying to pretend to be a steal. You blew it.
Damn it. Oh, that would have been good.
Yeah.
Just freeze. All right. So we are a few minutes early live. We're kind of sort of setting things up, kind of sort of testing things out. We already got somebody reacting there. Can't see who it is.
Cool.
We're sort of testing sound quality. If you're there, guys, and you can see us, give us a thumbs up. Oh, Randy King's here. Hey, Randy, what's up? Can you hear us, Randy?
Hi,
Jonathan. Hi, guys. Rory
John.
Miller's. Oh, John Hayes. Nice. Elson Manzella is right there, and
Yeah.
she has joined the chat.
Yeah, she can hear me. Let me know if you can't hear me. Paul did have a cool video up there that let me know if my voice was coming up, and it's gone now.
Yeah, sorry.
If you're there, guys, you can see us.
Okay, we can hear it.
All right, cool.
And turn us off just so I can see comments.
That should make a nice little feedback loop. We can screech out everybody's ears.
Well, I turned it off. That way I can just see the chat. Okay. So we're not technically going to start class up until 1 o'clock as promised.
Yeah.
Stephen Hollandale, Stephen Hayes, Jonathan Hayes, good. Hi, Randy's not going to hang in.
Yeah.
Randy says, great idea. Well, so Randy, we were at breakfast on Tuesday morning and planning out the week. And I had this like, hey, Rory, you want to do something really dumb?
And it's not dumb. And the idea, seeing whether or not we can deliver a class through live chat, just could be a really amazing idea. So this is mostly a proof of concept and experiment.
Yeah.
Which is probably the only reason I'm awake, because this has been a big week.
We've got a lot done.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the idea is Rory has to teach a seminar this weekend in Connecticut. The idea was come out a little bit early and we can get some material filmed for the new Patreon group.
Mhm.
So,
And possible actual classes for Teachable.
yes. So we're looking at different ways. Obviously, there's only one Rory. Opportunity to get some of the awesome information in his head out into the rest of the world. So some of the stuff we managed to knock out, we already have the context
He
files.
can't read my handwriting.
I cannot read his handwriting at all, so I'll let him do it.
The stuff that we did last time we were here, we did the three big talks, the context talk, the trying to call it self-defense articulation. I'm worried about calling it law because I'm not a lawyer, but how to explain a self-defense decision, the things that go into it. And violence dynamics, and which is one of the things we have to talk about before we start this one.
Yep.
So, and also last time filmed my take on weapons defense, and it's very, my experience is very correction centered. I have to worry about shanking,
Yeah.
but I will say they got Terry Tran's stamp of approval, so I'm happy with it. And even if it didn't, it's like I'm not dead, so I'm still happy with it.
Right.
The things we filmed this time, though, were we had a bunch of questions. Tammy wanted me to talk about one of the ethical things that we hammer on all the time, and why it's important. And, well, anyway, you have to listen to that to actually see it. What we're trying to do with not turning dogmatic, there is this huge thing that most of you that know me know that this is one of my big rants, is that when you spend your life, I mean, how many hours have you spent? How much sweat? How many years in martial arts? And when something's not tested, people get more dogmatic about it, not less. And whether we can set up a network of friends that can keep each other from becoming dogmatic, that can sit there. So anyway, there's this nice big, I don't even know how long it is, recording of me basically saying, I know this much, and that's not certain. So don't.
The actual title is Chiron v. Dogma.
Yeah. And it's that's right, because again, one of the most dogmatic things, I don't know if we talked about it now, one of the most dogmatic things people do is say, we are dogmatically not dogmatic. And the minute you step into that and you don't realize you're doing it, you're fucked. And I'm going to be using bad language if you have kids like buggers and shit. The other one was David wanted basically a bullet list for verbals. We wanted something short because de-escalation is one of the most complex subjects ever, and it's based on a lot of things. But so I brainstormed for like 30 seconds on some guidelines, less about how to do it right than how not to fuck it up badly. So, and
You said the master de-escalation class is 16 hours.
8, I think, is where it's going to be when it's done, and that's a draft thing we've been working on. So, CONCOM as it applies to the emotionally disturbed, and specific de-escalations for specific types of violence. Let's see, we did a couple of the building blocks. And those are just scratching the surface, but entries, targeting, weapons retention, and counter assault. So
It's been a very busy week.
busy. And I feel weird about videoing the physical skills because you have to feel them to understand them. So it can help people that have seen it or they're trying to work out, but do not, love God, do not sit on a couch, watch a fucking video and think you understand a physical skill. Just please don't do that.
No YouTube black belts?
Hmm?
No YouTube black
No
belts?
YouTube black, but also YouTube. It's one of the. I've come up with this rule of thumb lately. If someone says they're a visual learner, it basically means they're lazy and they'd rather watch videos than work out. You aren't, even if you are a visual learner, and I'll put in jiu-jitsu specifically if I can feel this way about self-defense. Even if you're a visual learner, it's a kinesthetic skill. You have to latch onto a body to learn anything useful. Okay, and I don't know if those are angry faces or hearts. There's all kinds of stuff to know.
Those are thumbs up. So we actually have 26 people watching, which is
Cool.
awesome. We had no idea what we were going to get. So this is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, there were a lot of shares enough that I'm thinking if it gets over too many people, I'm just going to be too shy and not do this.
So the general format is Rory's going to be teaching as you guys are. This is an interactive class, right? He's going to be asking questions. He's going to be looking for you guys to give feedback. I'm going to read that off because it's too small for somebody to read while they're posting up on the board. And yeah.
And we have.
So it is 1 o'clock on the nose.
Is it? Oh yeah, it is. To the second. All
I'm
right.
going to make Rory wait 90 seconds. He does not like starting late. I was going to say hi, Allison McDonald. Hi, John Hayes. I love CONCOM. Guys responsible for Washington State's PERT program say they came to some of the same things by parallel evolution when I asked them.
Yeah. Most of the stuff that
Uh,
works looks pretty much the same.
Susanna Wingfield. Hi, looking forward to learning with y'all. Y'all, I work on my best.
Y'all.
Sorry, I'm from Boston.
Y'all are all y'all. Make up your mind.
Y'all.
Okay, so that's just me. She's just talking to me then. She was talking
Okay.
about all you, but all y'all.
Mary Krobel, hi. Dan Stenning. The senator is checking in. That
Hi,
means we-
Dan.
I think we can start. The senator is here.
I'm an official friend of Dan. He actually was handing out buttons for a while and said, friend of Dan, I got one.
Lee Milan, Rob Stalinsky. I'll see you next month, Rob, with Randy being here. John Hayes, yeah. Video is now immortalized in digital form.
Mhm.
It's good.
Scary.
Well, regarding the dogmatic thing, one of the things I mentioned to Rory is if it's on video, we can't get into the, well, Sifu said this once upon a thing over coffee, blah, blah, blah. So
But the other fear of video is like, it's on video, that must be the right way. And I don't do things the same way twice in a row.
I can confirm that.
Yeah, we've been playing. This has been a great week. I've been able to a bunch of jiu-jitsu classes, be a student. It's been awesome.
Yeah,
And-
we both have some bruises proving that.
Oh yeah,
Did you find a new one this morning?
I've got them all over my upper arm.
I've got an awesome one on my hip.
I know where that came from.
Yeah, I know exactly where that came from.
The
Rory's bony.
I try because the other options. Where's it going with that? But yeah, it's one of those. This is about adaptability, and when you stop becoming adaptable, when you start either deciding you're right or deciding you're learning from this right, you've turned off your brain, and that's the one thing that's absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
So,
real quick, Andrew Bryan says, I like this one. Hi, guys. I'm excited to see how you make an entire day into an hour. Trust you both. Don't trust us.
yeah, where should we can. So it's time, so we're going to get started.
Yeah, we're going to start up now, guys. One quick thing. So feedback, when Rory asks questions, he's going to do a little bit of playtime, and then I'll read off answers as you guys give them, because this is a Q&A style class. Anybody that has any extra stories or anything like that, if we have time at the end, we're going to do the best we can to address those. But we have 33 people watching already, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so
Tia!
there's some.
Hi, Mom.
Tia.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Tia's a mommy now, so everyone should congratulate her. And the pictures, you look very happy. I'm very happy for you.
I'm going to get my head out of the way.
Okay, so logic of violence, as Andrew said, I've done it as up to a 2-day course. It can go that long. It's usually very student driven. I am as lazy as possible. This, because we're going to try to cram it in an hour, I'm going to be way more directive than I should be, but I still want to throw this out to you. Number one, the genesis of this course was someone sending me their self-defense course, which is basically how a 6'2" skilled Muay Thai fighter can beat up a drunk kid, because he was about to work in a college bar, and that's what his experience was. And there was all this stuff would work if you were a 6'2" Muay Thai fighter beating up drunks. He'd never looked at it from any other victim point of view or any other type of crime. He had 100 fights, therefore he understood fights. But he basically had the same 2 fights 50 times each. And this is something that we have to work for. So work with criminals, we're going to kind of back engineer it. The things we aren't doing, and one of the places we're saving a lot of time is I'm assuming you guys have the violence dynamics stuff down cool. I'm not going to go into the lecture, the different types of violence, how they approach and setups. And then
Patreon.
oh, and Paul wants me to point out that lecture is one of the first ones we recorded. It's on the Patreon page. And it'll eventually be a teachable thing, I think.
Yes.
We want to get all the soft skills up in electronic format. So what we do with logic of violence is we set up the basic questions a criminal has to answer or the problems they have to solve in order to successfully pull off a violent crime. And it's not hard. For you guys, I want you less than, work this out and see the pattern so that you can pass on to your students and ask them the questions. One of the most valuable instructor things is if your students figure it out for themselves, they can't argue it. So when you sit there and tell your 18-year-old who wants to go out partying, watch yourself. You're old, you don't know what you're talking about. But when they're the ones that said, I would totally take out someone out at this party, it's like, so this is a way to set up ownership of the problem. So the first thing, and this is also, we also recorded an intro to strategy. We couldn't go into all of it, but basically almost everything's based on goals and parameters. And for strategy, there's a third tripod. But the bad guy has a goal, which is what he wants to happen, and a parameter, which is what he wants to not happen, or several parameters. So if someone wants money for drugs, that's a fairly clean, obvious goal, and that's actually the one we're going to play with. There are other types of crime where this is different. Monkey dance or violence. Monkey dance, the guy wants his status to go up. Someone who's doing the process of crime, a rapist, will just throw it out there. One of the reasons you can't do any crime with the model we're about to do, but one of the things with particularly sex offenders is some of them, it's any target of opportunity when they're in the mood, but others have a very specific type. And unless you're a blonde between 5'4" and 5'6" of a certain body type, you are totally safe because it doesn't trigger them. And if you are, it doesn't matter how hard you put obstacles in the path or how hard a target you appear, they'll become obsessive and go for you. So when it gets to goals, money for drugs is super easy and simple, so that's why we're doing that one. It's only half an hour. But when you get into other types of crime, this is still true, but it's harder to predict. Parameters, what must not happen. So the three parameters that come up most is they don't want to go to jail, which means they don't want to get caught. They don't want to get hurt, because then they can't mug anyone else tomorrow when they're injured. The only one, because I would normally throw this out to you, but we're trying to save time and have you solve it. The only one that you guys don't automatically get, or you guys, sorry, I'm being specific, that most people not in that world don't understand, is they also can't afford to lose their reputation.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Andrew said it's hard to catch your voice when you're turning towards the board.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andrew. I will. But that means it's easy to catch my voice when I'm looking at you. Ha! Oh, I don't have to be louder.
Rory always has to be louder. Always.
Okay. That was you saying that. You weren't reading that to me.
No, that was me saying that. That's for you guys. You're welcome.
Okay, sorry. So we're talking about goals and parameters. The one parameter, so the two primary parameters I think is don't get caught, don't get hurt. The third parameter is don't lose your reputation. If you're part of the criminal sub-community and you get punked out, word goes around and people will start ripping you off. So those are the ones that come up. So here's your mindset. Wait, there's one other thing. Was there? Oh, because this one comes up in bullshit TV shows. Do not worry about he let me see his face, he's going to kill me. It's not about not being identified. Eyewitness testimony is terrible, and most crooks know that. If they pick the right person, the person's not going to come back to testify anyway. I'm in Boston, I live in Portland. If I got mugged and someone happened to catch the guy, the odds of me flying back from Portland to testify on my own dime are very, very low. So if you catch the right person, you don't have to worry about that too much. So that, oh my God, this is a fight for my life because he saw my face. Don't count on that. Long-term stuff, terrorist stuff, hostage stuff, yes. But for a simple mugging, not there. Good? Wise.
Andrew O'Brien said, "You're coming through quiet and clear."
Quiet and clear, I'll take that.
Just make sure you're not talking at the board.
Okay, so goals and parameters we got. So I divide this up into 6 questions. So question number 1, kicking it out to you, is who?
Hey, listen.
Who? And this is not, because everyone's going to go with the basic self-defense device and start think that easy targets are the weak, the small. That's not what I'm talking about. If you think about this in predatory behavior, and all humans are predators, leopards' favorite prey is monkeys. Lions tend to go for herd animals, gazelles, occasionally the big ones, but usually the small ones. So every type of predator has a preferred prey. So when I say who, I'm not talking about behaviors, I'm talking about people. So I'm going to throw out one, because I already said it. Out of town businessmen. Out of town businessmen, I'll throw out another one because we are tourists. Tend to carry cash, valuable equipment, don't know their way around. So this is now, I'm kicking to you. You guys only have a couple of minutes, but throw out what your preferred prey would be.
All right, so we have Jonathan Hayes said, someone dressed like they have money because that's what I want.
No.
No.
Okay, and to get back to that one, John. So you can have businessmen, and you will go for the rich one more than the poor one, but it's the businessmen is where you go. And this is important because of the next question.
So Dan Setting said people with altered minds.
Altered minds, again, no, that comes up in the 3rd question.
Rob Solinsky said injured.
Injured. Okay, and injured is, again, specific. It will come up in the 3rd question, but you want to go disabled. And the difference is, I'm going to jump ahead. The 2nd question is going to be where you go to hunt for your preferred prey.
We have distracted people, drunk people,
No.
elderly.
Elderly.
The senator with elderly. Nicely done.
Mm-hmm. They're good voters, too.
Unconnected to crime lords of influence.
You threw that as a parameter. All right, I'm going to cut this back really quick because everyone's going with the behaviors. Okay,
Alone.
Small, weak, alone. Those are divisions within these. The thing is, out of town businessmen congregate in certain places, so you know where to find them. Tourists congregate in certain places. The disabled, they're everywhere, but there are also places where they go. Elderly, you know where to find them.
So we had, I know this is the wrong category, but those with no situational awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Moms out shopping. Mother's is a good one. Children.
Okay. And we'll talk about children a little bit. Okay.
Someone else wrote, Clive wrote, people not aware, thinking, or plugged into technology.
Nope.
Which is going to be behavior.
That's later. Yeah, those are behaviors.
Distracted is going to be behavior. Asleep.
Asleep is a behavior.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, if you're going to do home invasion robberies, you know where the sleeping people are.
Christopher Marshall, female.
Female. Okay.
People with children.
There, I'll put a plus sign between the mothers and children. Okay, I was going to go back on the children. Children tend to not carry enough stuff that they're worth robbing. So for this type of crime that we're talking about, not necessarily, but they are targeted.
Cherie wrote, bartenders, strippers.
Nice.
Or cash workers, she wrote.
And I'm going to cash workers is the way I like to phrase that one.
Marcus Lynn wrote, MBA students, MacBook without resistance.
Right. College students.
Without resistance.
Okay.
Young and naive.
No.
Small stature, small size.
No. Okay, the stuff I'm saying nope about are divisions within these. So if you want to rip off college students, where do you go? You go to college campuses. Then you start looking for, on that college campuses, who are the weak, who are the small, who are the slow, who are the drunk, who are the plugged into technology. So you get that's actually a separate question.
Somebody wrote people who won't go to the police, but that's the out-of-towner.
It's the out-of-towner, and that's a broad category, and you can throw a bunch of these in here.
Art students with equipment and little physical prowess.
Right, and so I just put down college students here.
Yep.
All right, so again, we are all natural predators. We know who has what we want. We know which animals are made of meat, which is all of them, and we know which ones we can take, which is
Hikers.
Hikers is cool. And I think about hikers as a place because one of the things, and there's a long story about this, but for a long time, the most dangerous place in Oregon for violent crime was the hiking trail to Bagby Hot Springs. It's a rural place. It's not close to anything, but you get a lot of people and they're at one with nature. And once all of the old hippies and the new hippies and the hippie wannabes were going to be one with nature and carrying bags of marijuana, which were illegal at the time in Oregon. Once the local bad guys found that out, there were multiple armed robberies a day on that trail of very, very nice, peaceful people being mugged for their grass. So yeah, hikers carry stuff that you want, and they tend to be really low guard. So again, I want to move through this fast because I'd like to get through this in an hour. It's going to happen. So question number 1 is 2. Question number 2 is why we're doing flip charts. Is where?
You're talking at the board. He said where. I'll translate Rory to everybody else.
Thanks. So the where question on this is once you've picked and pick whichever of those you think will be your favorite, where do you find a large concentration of them? This is pretty freaking easy.
Nobody yet. It's also the tiny little delay, so.
Yeah, so give me some places.
All right, so we have blocked in a bus driver seated and tucked in by safety belts, ATM.
Okay, so ATM. Okay, the bus driver blocked in by bus driver blocked in by safety belts. If bus driver is your category, then you know where they are.
Yep.
But they usually have a whole bunch of witnesses behind them.
Bar and the areas around it.
Bar.
Hotels.
Hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so bar, obvious, right? That's where you're more likely to find the drunk, the impeded, but it's the bar. If your target is out-of-town businessmen, then the bar at the convention center hotel. If your target is college students, then the college bar.
So we have hotels.
So we get specific. So hotels. Okay, hotels are a great place to see travelers and tourists. What do we call the place tourists congregate at? We have a word for this. Someone has to do this before I write it, or I'll start writing while someone writes it. What do we call the places tourists go?
So question is, what do we call the place where tourists go? We're going to keep putting down spaces as soon as somebody gets that answer. Hotels, crowded shopping mall.
Shopping malls. And shopping mall parking lots.
Yep. This is the next one. Rob Selinsky wrote parking lot.
Yeah.
Marcus Lynn wrote transitional spaces.
And that's a general category for almost all of these. Well, no.
That's going to be
Transitional places is a general category where you're going to try to isolate them. So, but it's a piece of this.
So we have tourist hotspots.
Oh no, we call them something.
It's coming. No. I think I saw somebody write it, but I'm trying to get through it or in order because this is we have 60 people on here now.
Okay.
So, leaving a store, mall, district bar, parking lots, strip clubs.
Strip clubs. Okay. While we're waiting for the answer on tourist, that word.
Somebody wrote tourist trap.
Tourist trap.
Rob Selinsky got tourist trap. First person I saw wrote tourist trap.
Call them tourist traps. Okay.
John Till was right behind him with it.
Okay, strip clubs and strip club parking lots are awesome. Because let's say that you are a drunk out of town businessman and you get mugged in the strip club or the strip club parking lot, you're gonna report it?
Yep.
You're gonna tell your wife that, oh honey, I'm sorry, I got mugged at the strip club, so I gotta replace all our credit cards. No, I lost my wallet somewhere.
It's an interesting one. Just outside the center of town.
Too broad for my purposes.
But could be depending on the town.
Yeah, depending on the town. And that's one of the, if you know your towns well, you go. One of the ones that came up here that I thought was brilliant was designated smoking areas.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's one of those, if you're smoking in our culture right now, you're marginalized. They're far enough away that you don't bug anybody else. They're private. And the minute someone walks in, oh my God, he's a smoker too. So you feel like there's an immediate connection to your friends.
Yep.
And when you ask for light, the guy's in perfect punching distance.
True or interesting, standalone restaurants.
Okay, I have to think about that one because I haven't thought about that one before.
W. Lindeman wrote shops, bars, ATMs, public transportation stations, so train stations.
We get it. Depots and transfer stations, you get to see a lot of people moving through there.
Airport?
There was one, because it goes on with the restaurants and strip clubs, and we talked about cash, people working cash jobs, so cash businesses.
Yep.
And people that have to carry cash.
People who have to carry cash because he's talking to the board again. It's easy to do, right? Parking lots of I'm just gonna read them off real quick. Parking lots of shopping malls, parking area, red light district, fringe, outdoor party, office, workplace, airport, tourist trap, motel, a bad one, subways. Dan setting just say Paul. Yes, tourist trap. Oh my God, there's so many messages.
Okay, so I'm going to cut this off right now because it's too much for us to get into.
Yep.
But the point for you guys, none of you are having any problem coming up with where juicy prey lives. This is not hard. Again, humans are natural predators. You can get in their heads very easy. You guys are coming up with crimes just through what you know about human nature. This is about having a brother or an uncle who's a criminal who is showing you the ropes. We're actually very good at this. We're naturals. If any of you have listened to any of the Freakonomics podcasts, there's one in there where they're both named Steve, and I can't remember which is which. But the actual comment says that the big mystery is not why we have so much crime; it's why we have so little. Because the risk to reward ratio is incredibly. Basically, humans are good. So who and where? First two questions. Third question. I hope you're writing down the questions because these are things I want you to think to your students especially. And in case you don't know, one of the reasons I called it the monkey dance was I wanted it to be ridiculous. I wanted everyone to feel a little bit ashamed if someone said you were just monkey dancing right there. So this one also has a little bit of a shame thing, and I should come up with a better word for it, but I don't want to. So you've chosen your prey, you found where they gather. Okay, so I like gazelles and they gather at the watering hole. What behaviors will you look for that says this one is right? So you've got your drunk out of town businessmen at the strip club. The strip club is full of them. What behaviors will tell you that one's right? And that first question I asked, almost everything I said nope. I said nope because it goes on this list, not the first list.
So what makes them a good target?
What
behaviors?
Yeah, you've got a whole bunch of drunk out of town businessmen. What makes them a good target? You got a tourist. What makes them a good target?
So drunk. Asleep.
Someone wants to say asleep. Why? Is that because I was asleep in an airport drinking?
Distracted.
Separated. I'm just going to say alone.
Yep, alone, separated. One of the Hater twins wrote, unaware, headphones, phones, obviously that's distracted.
Plugged in.
So plugged into technology would be a big category.
Distracted, plugged in. As everyone, one of the happiest things I saw was, there are a whole bunch of things that bug me, but it was a lady pulling into the library who didn't want to park because that was just too much work. So she stopped, into the no stopping zone, left her engine running, got out, and she gets out, she's texting, and she tripped over the curb. It made my day. So
you're a bad person.
Stupidity should be punished.
Stupidity usually is punished. Low self-confidence.
Low self-confidence.
Rob Selinsky with a low self-confidence. I like that. John Till, not paying attention. Ooh, sick or weak?
Yes.
Feeble. Lisa Albert wrote it as feeble.
Sick, weak, feeble. And this is
limping.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
That would be sick, weak. And this is why I separated disabled from this list, is because people that are permanently disabled, there are certain places that they're going to have to go, certain places that they have to congregate. There's a little danger. If you want to decide, it'd be really, really ugly, I'm going to start robbing people at the school for the blind. Be aware that there's enough societal backlash. You're way more likely to get caught faster if you don't move on real quick. But
small stature, weak.
Small.
Is that a behavior?
Well, it's one of those. It's a differential between which of the out of town businessmen you want. So it's not always behavior. With the low self confidence, pleaser personalities, people that want to be liked are very easy to victimize.
Timid.
Within physicality, I think more than almost any of these is someone who's awkward, someone who's not comfortable in their own body tends to draw a lot of attention from predators.
Somebody, so it had to be either Tammy or Malcolm because it's under our own thing, the Chiron training page. Uninformed of local customs.
Ooh. I bet Malcolm.
I don't know if that was Tammy or Malcolm, but that's a good one.
I bet Malcolm. Okay, and uninformed. I'm going to
good shoes. Interesting.
Good shoes or good shoes for talking. That's one of the things that makes them harder to run, but it also is a sign of wealth.
Yep.
So uninformed.
Do we have injuries up there?
Sick week,
feeble. Sagging pants.
Just because it pisses you off doesn't mean but they are great handholds, and if you stand on them, the person cannot move.
And this might fall into the category, but out of breath, fat, not strong, flabby.
Yeah, sick, weak, feeble.
Yep.
Not one with their own body.
An unzipped bag.
That's really easy to take stuff out of.
Yep.
Okay, so we go off on a lot of tangents here.
That's
if
Malcolm.
you guys have not played with me, one of the things that I think it was Tammy and I.
That was Malcolm, by the way.
No, you're right. Yeah, I figured it was Malcolm. Tammy and I saw an unopened bag, and we were debating whether if you were to slip a self-defense business card into an unopened bag saying you need to work on your situational awareness, would that more likely get you a new client or a visit from the police?
I think it's B.
We haven't done that experiment
We've
yet.
debated it here too locally.
Right, but so maybe it'd be a good idea to do someone else's business.
See what happens.
Yeah, and then if they don't get a lot of business from the cops, you know it's good.
Is Lost up there?
Yeah, lost. Where was I going? There's one other thing I wanted to go before we do this. With the uninformed about local stuff, that's one of the things with tourists. Do tourists know even how to contact the cops? If you were in some Morocco, would you know how to get help there? And that's one of the reasons why tourists are so easy to target. So again, this is where almost all the self-defense advice you've ever. Paul's getting some really good ones.
Tia writes, Paul, can you send me some business cards? No.
All right. So, who you're looking for, who your target audience, who your preferred prey is, where your preferred prey congregates, and then third question, you're seeing a whole herd of gazelles. How do you identify a weak gazelle? None of you need to be taught this. You all know this shit. It's super easy. Of these three, everything up to this point has been completely passive. If you're the bad guy doing this, you've not broken any laws, you probably haven't drawn any attention. You can do all of this and be completely invisible. The next part is where it starts actively becoming something. Most of the places where prey congregates, the operative word is they congregate, which means there are witnesses. So the first thing you have to actively do is come up with a strategy to get them along, get them away from the witnesses. And this goes for pretty much any non-social crime. And one of the big differences between property crime and sexual crime is some stuff takes more time and privacy. You can do a mugging very, very quickly. Some of the rape, torture, murders take days. So that's a lot of isolation. So given your target, whatever your target is, given the place where you've got them, and then you pick the weakest, drunkest, whatever, how are you going to get them alone? That's your next question.
So we have follow to the car or hotel.
Okay. The ones I X up here, there's for a reason. Keep going.
That's the only one so far.
Okay.
Promise of a cheap and wild intercourse at no consequence with a person of desired sexual preference. That's a really detailed way of saying.
Promise tawdry sex. Is that a good word for that?
Tawdry's a great word for that. Tawdry's not used enough.
I could put in one word, tawdry.
I heard a fake cast worked pretty well.
Okay, fake cast we're going to talk about.
And then right after that, Sure wrote, ask for help.
Ask for help.
They kind of go together.
Ask for help is the action strategy. We'll talk about the fake cast because I have to go over some of these. Ask for help.
Lost dog kind of falls into that. Ask for help.
Lost dog.
A lot of ways to ask for help. Drug or intoxicate. Charm.
Charm is absolutely what a lot of these are being, but it's so vague. I don't like putting it on the list. So it's how you would charm them will become your trick.
Ask for directions.
Okay, so ask for help, ask for directions, lost dog.
Select those without a group.
That goes on the last list. We just did that.
Con them.
Con them. Again, really broad.
Yep. Lure.
Okay.
That was the seven.
I'm gonna do this. Yeah, he's done this before. Okay,
Dan's cheating.
so these little X's, there's basically 5 big ways to do it with a million little variations. So the asking for help, the lost dog drugs are tricky. Okay. The promise to have your sex is luring. Offer them something you want.
Be in the alley or parking lot waiting for a target group that can be managed. So wait is a strategy.
Wait is one of the big ones.
Offer them a service.
Offer them a service falls under the luring, but absolutely offer them some topic sex as a service.
Charm, be friendly, offer directions to the lost, wait for them to go to the bathroom. Malcolm wrote, use a sexually attractive friend.
I'm not touching that, Malcolm. You just opened yourself up all the way. Some of us don't need friends for that.
I'm not touching that at all.
Yeah. Offer service, and again, and those all fall into the category lure. You can come up with this, and this one, the drugging, there's drugging straight up assault, just grabbing them. Grabbing them is really rare in our society because there's so many witnesses and cameras. You want to do a non-crime version to get them alone usually, but other places in the world they will do snatches right off the street.
Alison McDonald wrote force and then wrote or threaten.
Yeah, force or threat. So the drug, force, and the one that's more common for us is intimidate.
Yep. Another one, threaten for bodily harm.
Yeah.
Warning them for danger, don't go there, here instead.
Mm-hmm. And that's a trick, warning it. That's a trick to herd them. So I want to go into this. So drugging, intimidation. And you guys, I've written about this before, and I got it from a guy named R. Nash, who published somewhere. He went through all the British Home Office stats, and the most common attack on a woman was simply to take her underarm or take her upper arm and show her a weapon and say, "Come with me." So intimidation, absolutely. I'm not going to put this out there. So I'm not. There's some stuff that's personal. Sometimes I talk about in class. I don't think it was recording, but this is obviously going to be recorded. But intimidate or threatening a third party is a very good way. You know, your kids are upstairs, and I know that. Are you going to do what I say, or am I going to go upstairs?
And get them to join a cult.
We aren't. It's really good to explore with your students, but there are entire categories of long-term victimization, which are, to my mind, in a lot of ways more horrible because I'm going to get into. I'm thinking about a specific case, but it's a mirror for a whole bunch of things that happened. But basically, a very good con man type sociopath would find women that, after a little bit of conversation, realized that they'd never been told that they were attracted, never been told that they were special, and so he told them they were special. And with very, very little effort, he was living with them with access to their house, their bank accounts, inviting his friends over to do drugs there and sell the drugs out of their house. And when the woman was out of money or out of resources, he'd just disappear, and she would never press charges because she was convinced it was true love, and he would eventually come back. And it's so long-term, we're talking about mugging right now, but that long-term victimization is something you have to have your students be aware of.
So I'll read off a bunch.
Yeah.
And you see what you ding on. Come across as venerable.
You mean old and well-respected, or did you mean vulnerable, which is a totally different word?
They wrote venerable.
Damn that spell check. All right.
Threaten a third party.
Mm-hmm.
Prospect of earning money easy.
Yeah, luring.
False identity as a policeman.
Tricking.
Invoke sympathy.
Yes.
Give them false hope.
False hope, no. That'll come up later because we'll get to that.
Challenge to a dance-off in an alley.
Dance up and alley. Who said that one?
Paul Villamil.
Huh, Paul. I want to meet you now. For no reason.
Paul, you have to come to one of the seminars because that's an awesome one.
Okay.
Giving advice on where not to go.
I think we've got your code name.
Fake crying and desperation.
Yeah.
Oh, Malcolm, tell him you know the local way to a cool view.
Okay.
I think that's yours.
Malcolm, the two, we're going to go over these really quick. I think that's enough. We're going to talk about some of these. Okay. So luring. Malcolm's leading off one. The one I'm most vulnerable to, I go native really fast. And if some stranger walked up and said, "Don't go to that restaurant, that's where the tourists eat. Here's where we eat," I would go down a dark alley in the middle of the third world hellhole. Come there. The one of the really easy ones for tourists is, there's a temple that's not on the tourist map that's really cool. I can show you.
How'd you sucker Rory Miller?
Yeah. So luring, offer them something that they want. And this is one of the ones you have to be realistic. If someone or two people half your age who are really, really hot are hitting on you and you aren't really, really special or famous, when things are too good to be true, they probably are. So it's just one of those things. Offering people what you want. One of the things that's really hard, I don't know how many of you teach kids, but one of the horrible things, there was a study out a while ago where they literally did the telling a bunch of second graders, if someone comes up to you and asks you to help me find my dog, immediately report a teacher, it's a bad guy, do not go with him no matter what. And all the kids go, yes. And then at the next recess, within an hour, every single one of the kids fell for it.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of sophisticated stuff that kids' brains aren't ready for yet. They don't get it. I think, total tangent, I think it's one of the reasons why fairy tales, because if you think about fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel is about, cannibalism. It's, if things are tight, then your mom will probably love you, but your stepmom's going to dump you off in the woods. And when you're dumped off in the woods, there are other people that are going to go, "Hell, I can help you, little child, but I'm going to eat you afterward." They're cautionary tales. And I think that helps wire the kids' brains. The world's not always nice. I think hide and seek is running away from rotting Vikings. We have games. So anyway, luring, offers we want, tricking. Intimidation, straight up, we'll talk about that because that one segues over into how to psychologically control people. Following is one of these. You pick your person, just follow where they go. A lot of people, anyone in a bar is eventually going to go to the bathroom or eventually going to go to their car. Or to their right. It's one of those, you know where you can follow them. Paul's giving me the talk louder signal. So weight is one of the ones I want to talk about because there are two versions of weight. You can wait in a place that's going to be a target-rich environment. If you want drunk people, you can wait. If I was being an asshole, most public restrooms in the U.S. are set up with a door just inside the door of the sinks, just beyond that are the urinals, just beyond that are the stalls. I could sit in a stall and wait until someone comes in and use a urinal, flush, make all the right noises, come out. It'll be perfectly normal to be walking behind someone because I'm walking to the sinks and pile drive his head into the wall. It would be super fast, super efficient, and I can wait as long as it takes because I know that's where my prey would congregate. The other version of wait, when someone's being specifically targeted, there's going to be some intelligence gathering. And this is why the cast came up. Ted Bundy would gather intelligence when he picked his prey. I'm going to go this fast normally again. I would ask the students, but there are three questions that come up in every first conversation in college or university. And the questions are, where are you from? What are you studying? Which dorm are you in? Or where are you staying? Okay, there are reasons why those questions come up, but because they come up in every conversation, almost no one blinks on them. Ted Bundy would strike up a conversation in the library, and he was not super ugly, and he'd have a fake cast on so he looked like a wounded bird, and he would start this conversation. Whether you realize it or not, if you've had any conversation with anyone, you feel you have some kind of connection with them. If someone answered that question with the dorm that they're in, which people answered, and he's at the library, he knows exactly the loneliest place to wait between that library and the dorm. So he'd move his van in easy dragging distance from there, wait until he saw her moving into the lonely area, and then he'd walk in front of her as if he didn't see her, drop his books. And so the guy that she thought she knew with the cast on was now helpless. So she would help, and while helping pick up the books, hit her in the back of the neck with a fake cast and drag her off to the van. So we should probably say this later, but one of the things that all of your students have to be set up for or be prepared for is understanding when someone in conversation is trying to milk them for information. No one has a right to know what you're thinking. No one has a right to know where you stay. I'm not telling you necessarily to be paranoid, but realize that you have a right to your own information. And if you're giving that up, you should be giving it up because you want to, not because you feel like it's part of the script. So isolate. You've got these. So in your head now, you should already be thinking, if you were a bad guy, who, where, signs of rightness, and how you get them alone. So now we're not going completely dark yet. Let's go start going dark.
Buckle up, kids.
Okay, so I'm going to divide this because these are actually the next two are two separate questions. You're going to do one or the other. So this one's psychological control. You've got your preferred target. You've got them in your preferred place. How are you going to convince them not to fight back? How are you going to convince them to voluntarily be a good victim? I have to walk this out a little bit. The violent crime is dropping very consistently in our parts of the world, and it's for logical violence, right? It's for pretty logical reasons. It's not because bad guys are getting nicer. If all I want is a wallet and I can scare you into getting a wallet and not stab you, I get everything that I need. I get everything that I want. I'm near Boston right now. Boston's a pretty big college town. It's got a lot, college town, tourist town, got a lot of crime. If I get mugged in Boston, someone pulls a knife, says, give me your wallet, and I do the smart thing, give my wallet, and then I go tell the police, how hard are they going to look into that?
No.
And what are the odds of getting a conviction? Because they don't have the resources. They have to prioritize the resources of people who are getting hurt. So they won't be looking into it super hard. If they happen to catch the guy just by luck or because someone read the report and recognized it, unless there's eyewitness testimony is terrible, unless the guy has something of mine still in his possession and the weapon is exactly the way I described it, the odds of getting conviction are super low. So that's a fairly safe way to do a crime. If it goes the other way, and we're Boston, big tourist town, and someone starts stabbing tourists and taking their shit, how hard are the cops going to look into that? And how much more forensic evidence is there going to be? The odds of conviction go way up. So criminals are not being nicer than they've been before, but they aren't stupid, and it's a dangerous mistake to think that they're stupid. If nonviolent crime solves their problem, it's safer for them than raising the level of violence. There are exceptions to this. There are people that have been so institutionalized that they want to go back to prison because that's where they know the life works. And they will do almost anything. And they'll do horrible things because they think that it gets them what they want. So run this out. And someone already said hope, and hope is a horrible one. If you give someone hope, they'll be rescued. They don't try to rescue themselves.
So we have offer them a prize or a way out. So this one's partly hope.
And that's hope. Yeah. Offer a way out, which doesn't have to be real.
Promise them not to harm them.
Okay. Promise. Lie. And within this, if someone has a knife at your side and is saying, come with me, that says, I promise I won't hurt you. When people are using weapons, they're also cool with lying, just as a rule.
So the next one was show weapon at close range.
Yeah, show weapon. I'm going to throw a lot of things under this category because there are a whole bunch of things: numbers, size, power, weapons, disparity of force.
Chris Marshall went dark.
Okay.
Persuade them it's their fault. This is happening. They wanted this to happen. They encouraged this.
Blame the victim.
Blame the victim.
Not for this class. We'll talk about it a little bit in which we haven't done yet, the threat assessment class. But this is one of the elements of victim grooming. If you can convince the victim that it's their fault, but also be unpredictable enough that they can't figure out the pattern, it's horrible. And so this goes into long-term stuff. This is the psychological victim grooming is long-term psychological control. So
Hot,
who
cold
said that one?
treatment.
'Cause that was awesome.
That was Christopher Marshall.
Okay. Hot, cold, unpredictability.
Okay. Heavy threat, nice start talking, something mundane, chewing gum, look at the nice part, added confusion.
Unpredictability is more freezing for humans than fear or than actual danger. Danger that you can't calculate has a heavier effect on your passivity than danger that you can. They also be unpredictability because this goes back with hope. And one of the most devastating things you do is do a powerful show of force. So hit someone. Most people have never been hit for real. Most women have never been hit for real by a guy. And the strength disparity is way bigger than we think it is because we've been separated from this. So I'll put this in those terms. So a guy has a woman, he got her alone somehow. She realizes how bad it's going to be, so she tries to fight. Almost every human being I know, the first time they hit someone for real, they hit half power and pause to see if it made it worse. And if you hit someone half power and pause, I can almost guarantee it's going to make it worse. So she slaps him or she hits his chest or something ineffective, and he hits her. He unloads on her. She's never felt anything like that before. It's orders of magnitude beyond what she expected, and knocks her to her knees. And in that moment where she's bracing for the beating of her life, he suddenly turns nice and says, "I didn't want to hurt you. I'm so sorry I had to do that. Please don't make me do that again. You just come with me and do what I say, and I promise everything will be all right." And so this is that hot cold, the unpredictability, but it's also where that hope gets instilled. And as long as that hope, and she knows he's lying on some level, but she thinks as long as she can hope that he's not lying, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and hope increases passivity. And this is terrible, but sometimes when you have no hope anymore, and just like, fuck this, I'm gonna die anyway, so I'm just gonna make this the worst day of his fucking life, and I'm gonna leave so much forensic evidence. There's no way he's going to get away with this. There's going to be pieces in my stomach. There's going to be skin on my fingernails. Fuck him. That is one of the mindsets that gets people out of this. Very high cost.
Going back to the earlier conversation, Rob Slinky said, and I'm sure other places do, some areas of Boston have a culture of silence. It's really bad in some areas where the locals will not talk to the police. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's not just a Boston thing, but
it's not a Boston thing. And this will go back to that first list, the WHO. Very big in refugees from certain countries. There's some place in Oakland where there's a huge amount of crime that never gets reported because those countries don't talk to cops. Yeah.
Tell them they don't want their family to see what is going to happen if they don't comply.
Cool. And that's a form of threatening a third party. You're threatening the first party by telling them how horrible it will be for the third party. So I'm going to put threaten the third party.
John Hayes wrote, they actually have a bar area locally where parking is always difficult to find, and people actually frequently go through alleys and self-isolating them. That's why I was thinking wait and show weapon for wallet possessions.
Yeah.
Add shame to the crime to add freeze and add silence in the aftermath.
Okay, I'm gonna say something very, very seriously. No, I don't even want to say it. Remember we were talking about the bad thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I even put this out there?
I know it's your concern. I know we're on Facebook Live.
Okay, I'm gonna put something out there, and if you have any kind of tenderness in your heart or soul, if you have any basic level of humanity, I'd like you to turn off the audio for the next 45 seconds, because that triggered memory. I don't want to get away with the shame. So I'm starting now. I have one guy in custody for molesting children. He explained to me very carefully, "I'm not a pedophile, Sarge. I'm not actually into kids. They're just tighter and they don't testify." That was his entire justification for supremely horrendous crimes. That was one of my big, again, one of the things I don't want in my head, but it was one of the not sick, not broken, just completely selfish. And just, this is what I like, this is where I get it, this has the least consequences, I do it. There was no moral balancing in what he was thinking in any way whatsoever. It was really all right. So thank you for now. That's all in your heads. So I'm kind of sorry, but
Hurt to establish a baseline and then return to being friendly. That was Malcolm.
yeah, that's the hope, the unpredictability. So it's a pattern. So we're gonna cut this off now.
Yep.
Because you guys get it. You know how to scare people. Things that didn't come up were positioning. Sometimes just being in an unexpected place and being bigger. And this is someone mentioned shopping malls. You put again, usually it's a female. Female get targeted for way more horrible crimes than guys. But you're putting your packages in the car, the door's open, and you turn away from that, and someone is wedging you between the car and the car door, who's not supposed to be there. Common stuff. Moving on.
Yep.
Okay, so who, where, right, isolate. These two are not in sequence. So psychological control, if you decided not to use psychological control, we talked about the reasons why it's more common, but if you're just going to go straight up physical, and get ready to write. And this is totally euphemism. This is a euphemism. When I say physical control, I'm talking about rendering someone incapable of fighting back. So it's not really the gripping and the holding. So the first one, psychological control, come with me, don't make a scene. This is hitting you in the back of the neck with a brick so you can't make a scene.
So Jonathan Hayes, first thing, blunt force to the head.
Blunt force to the head. So
Kick to the head.
blunt force to the head, kick the head, hold it down.
Boot to the head. Sorry, that's what I
Boot to the head. This is more for me and my people, but almost any time you see anything about head targeting, it should be neck targeting. I'd much rather hit people in the neck from the front side than the head. It just works better.
John Hayes wrote back of head especially.
Yeah, blunt force. And again, back and neck is far superior to me. I've taken a crowbar to the back of the head, very luckily, without hurt, but I've been slapped in the back of the neck with time.
Yep.
So,
Back of head, especially take their breathing.
yeah. Suffocate.
Choke out, suffocate. Spear-like object from the back.
So, that's called stabbing.
that's just straight up stabbing
You
somebody.
could just sit and be like, stab in that.
Ambush.
Ambush is ambush is all of this building up to one thing. Ambush is usually the weight combined with an overwhelming force strategy. So what I want you guys to do, and we're only going to have time to do about 3 of these, because this is not hard. What I want you to do, and look, we're only going to share about 3 of these because of time constraints. No, maybe 2. So I want you to lay out a crime. We won't have time to type all the details, but basically who, where, right? That whole list, and then skip psychological control. That's a different thing. So mine, you already talked about, waiting in the bathroom for someone to go pile driving their head into the wall. When you are the bad guy, you have so much control of the situation, and you have such a target-rich environment that if your thing is tiny college girls, you can wait for a tiny drunk college girl who's putting her keys in her car, and you're behind, you get the first move with all the positioning. So that detail. So if we've got some coming in, Paul's going to read off like 2.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the big reveal that we do in class.
All right. So let's see here. Sorry, guys. My other thing. Chloroform head control is key. Chemical intoxication inhibitor. Throw from a height and easy to go downstairs to rob.
Okay.
Stabbing.
Okay, so back up.
Restraints, ropes.
So I want someone to write down who, how they're going to get them alone, the behaviors, I saw that, and write out the crime. And when we do this in a live class, this is one of the things that takes time, Andrew, is I try to have everyone break into pairs, and then we demonstrate the crimes, because there's something very important about demonstrating them.
Let's see here. Run over with a car, get them drunk.
Yeah.
Throat strike. This is great. Somebody's doing this. Physical control of loved one.
Marcus.
What are you right?
Oh. The polar vortex was a good time to get people in bucket of water.
Absolutely.
Okay, so these should be some of the new ones.
Physical control of a loved one to get a victim to comply.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that goes under psychological control, not physical control.
Offering to help a lost college freshman looking for their dorm to move in.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know.
That's how you
Middle-aged woman, alley, neck strike while passing, take purse.
Okay, so let's go with that one because that's a good one. Just someone and alleys are kind of problematical because you can starve to death in an abandoned alley because people don't go through alleys.
Okay.
But if you're looking at the elderly, like you middle-aged woman, if you want to look at elderly, if you find the bank closest to the retirement center, then once a month there will be a bunch of people that don't trust direct deposit running checks over there. So let's take that one. So you've got a little old lady. I'll change it to that for middle age. She's walking by. You're walking by on the sidewalk, and you reach out and chop her in the back of the fucking neck. Okay, so give me one more.
Standing in an open car doorway.
Mm-hmm. And how do you take him out?
Isolate ATM. How are you guys taking them out? Not just where.
Yeah. So this is bringing everything together for all of these questions: who, where, rightness, isolation, and then takeout. And Edwin just joined, and it's like stabbing in the neck. I know, Edwin. Yeah.
Dan setting. Wait, are you going to be handing over the comment transcription to our local authorities? Discoverable.
No, but they will be on Facebook forever. So just be aware of that. Don't actually do the crime you described. Always do a different crime.
Someone wrote, last time I was in the airport men's room, I wondered why some guys went and installed a urinate while many urinals available. They must have just been smarter than me. Or listen to Rory talk.
There's partially that, but there's also airport, a lot of witnesses, a lot of cameras. So
Brian from Maine wrote, use a partner park, separate mother and kids with threat, move on to secondary crime scene.
Okay.
Tourist, code white, showing sites.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere it's easily accessible. Smoking section at late night. So that's where.
Okay. Tourist smoking section. Keep going.
Suffocate with pillow.
Suffocate with pillow works on invalids.
Push a small lady into corner. Make it look like a sexual assault and possibly shock enough to cover the actual mugging.
Okay. I'm going to back off on a couple of these. So that one, two back, sorry, memory losses, are actually psychological control, not physical control. And this is one of the things where good people have a real tough time crossing the line. Mm-hmm. They think if I scare you really bad, it's just the same as hurting you, and it's not. So within the physical control, we're going to stick with the little old lady getting hit in the back of the neck while she's walking by.
Bash their, this is a good one. Putting shopping in the boot of the car. Bash their head into the car, bodywork bundle them into the boot, drive off to an isolated place in their own car.
Okay, if you didn't hear that, and Americans would say trunk, but someone's putting something in the trunk of their car, you walk up behind them, pile drive their head into the lid of the trunk, and then dump them in the trunk and drive their car to wherever you want to take them.
And right after it, Paul wrote, small young girl, Christmas at a mall, putting bags in car, knock her head in the car, throw her into the car, hopefully at night. So that's a common theme popping up.
So we had another one, driving someone's head into the car who's not looking at you. Here's the reveal, and this is one of the points of the class, and we're going to try to run through this in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Take a look at some of those attacks you just came up with. You came up with, not some sophisticated criminal, because criminals have been doing this longer than you. Your first day. What physical defenses are you teaching in your self-defense class that would give someone any hope against what you're doing? And this is where everyone who teaches self-defense, Josh, should just go, oh fuck. We play this game wrong. So going back really quick, and I'm not saying that this is hopeless. There are people that have survived. There's stuff that's worked. We know some of it, but it's not nearly as clear-cut as we'd like it to be. And it tends to be based on principles and on reacting to precursor cues instead of what's actually. If you wait till after you've been hit in the back of the neck, you don't have a lot. So the real safety gains are based in staying off the early lists. You can't tell your people not to do their jobs, or not to be elderly, or not to be disabled, not to be kids, not to be moms. But if you know you fall into one of these categories, it becomes more important not to hit the right categories. And if you want to be elderly in good shape. There are a whole bunch of older people I would not want to fuck with. And there are some very, very young people that are like marshmallows. They're like human marshmallows. They're snacks. Know where the hunting grounds are, and we know these instinctively. One of the reasons I like doing this with students is once students come up with their own hunting grounds, they know where they have to be cautious. They're the ones that have set that up. It's also really freaking me out that this is doing a mirror image of what I'm doing this with my right hand, and that's showing me with my left hand. It's fucking weird. But we know where they are.
2 things.
Yeah.
John Till wrote, thanks to drills here at the dojo in Natick. This is why I put my hand on the wall in front of me when using a urinal.
Yeah. It's Randy has this whole acting super drunk whenever he's using a urinal because he's got his head cushioned against the wall already.
This is interesting. So, Stefan, surely if these scenarios aren't avoided early, it'd be near impossible for a physical response or defense at the last point of the predator's plan.
Yeah, and Stefan, that's actually the whole point of this class is if you're teaching physical self-defense as the primary way to keep people safe, it's not going to work for most of them.
Clive, teach pre-fight indicators, but awareness is key. Being awake and thinking, train the body when young, so you can rely on the mind when you're older.
Good.
Factor luck. Even predators may slip on a slippery floor. True.
Yeah, if someone's tried to kill you and you're alive, it was luck because someone fucked up because it's too easy to kill people. But and breaking this down, Clive, because part of that whole awareness of pre-attack indicators, if you really want to ramp it up, it's also awareness of pre-attack opportunities. Knowing when you're on these lists instead of waiting till it gets to the isolation stage, which is where even the people that do think about this a little more deeply, that's where they tend to start. They tend to start way too late in the crime. So not being right, this is all the self-defense advice that you've heard before, absolutely true. Here is where you start teaching your students how to look for predators, how to look for someone getting them alone, how to look for someone separating them from their resources, how to tell when someone's asking questions is gathering intelligence, understanding tricking, luring, waiting. There's some stuff to follow. We have an eye trick for that. You can basically look behind you, get 360-degree look without looking like it. So we are at time. I'm actually 30 seconds over. So psychological control. If someone is trying to psych you out of fighting, that means that they think that you have a chance if you do. This is one of the ones where your students have to be taught to be above the game, make their own choices. Don't let the bad guys make choices for you. If someone says, come with me, don't make a scene, that's a pretty good sign that the things you absolutely have to do is not come with them and do make a scene. They are not your friends. Anyone targeted should be able to take control of everything they can and not feel bad about it. And the physical control, that's where we get the counter assaults, the working off index touches, the preemptives, the understanding pre-assault cues.
Marcus Linda, learn to be rude as fuck.
Yeah. Learn to be rude. Don't be rude all the time because that's also addictive.
Andrew O'Brien wrote, you can keep going if you want to. Apparently nobody's upset with the extra information.
And we can keep going, but this is the class. At this point, the really long class after everyone does their physical assaults, then we brainstorm possible solutions to them. And I'm kind of proud of this because the first time I did this was in LA. And while they were doing their possible things, I was making a list of the principles they derived.
Yeah.
And I have my list of, it's 10 now because I combined a bunch of them, but I listed 11 principles, and in 2 days they figured out 8 out of 11 what took me 17 years of trial and error to figure out. So I was super happy with that. 330 comments. You guys fucking kidding me? All right.
Dan setting. Dan, you can find the Patreon if you just Google Patreon Chiron Training. I believe it's patreon.com/Chiron Training, I think, off the top of my head. I'll put a link up later. I can't do it right now.
It's not on my computer. I can't go to that page. It always goes to the one that I work from.
Yeah, it goes to the back end. I
Yeah.
believe it's patreon.com/Chiron Training.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain.
Okay, so that's
awesome.
That's the logic of violence class. Again, format is important. Feel free to use it with your students and get them to answer the questions. Play with the different types of violence and see how and start with the goals and parameters, what they want, how they change. But the basic questions are pretty much the same. So,
list the 10 principles. So, Stuart, about the 10 principles, do you want to do the talk on that? Or you want me to?
You do the talk. I'm just going to get the board pulled up.
Oh, you are going to. Usually you don't.
What?
Usually, Stuart.
Right. No, do the talk. Yeah. No, Paul is now channeling me.
Well, I'm not trying to, but
Talk on there, you want me to?
that was weird. Why is it talking back to us?
Usually you don't, right? Usually, Stuart.
No, do the talk.
That was weird. It was giving us feedback. Sorry
Yeah.
about that, guys. Oh, Edwin, thank you. There's the link, guys. Edwin put it up. Thank you very much, Edwin. So regarding the principles, Rory has a big thing about this.
Yeah, which I forgot when I get excited. So
Your job is to list out your principles. If he gives you his principles first, as mentioned at the beginning of this live, your brain shuts off and you stop thinking on your own. You stop thinking for yourself. So if you are, in my mind, somebody interested in the physical arts in any way, shape, or form, they're there. You just have to do a little bit of the brain walking out. I think my first email back to you when you was like, right off your principles, I think my first one was like, the laws of physics, ? And you were like, kind of.
Yeah.
So at some point, the video exists. It has to be edited, but the video exists, but it's a two-parter. Do you want it?
Well, my list, there's a.
If you guys are
something I
still
put out
here-
called the training journal a while ago, and that has mine in the back, and also the cautions on how to write your own first. It's a little more useful because it defines principles, which right now we're just saying principles, and half of you are thinking goals.
Yeah. That was my next
Our
question.
number one principle is don't get hurt. And it's like, no, that's not even a goal. That's just wishful thinking.
There are two videos. One of them is the difference between a principle, a goal, a parameter, a
Goals,
whole,
principles,
want,
strategies,
desire, strategy. Yeah.
tactic, aphorisms, the little,
Yep.
little stupid sayings all martial arts have.
Yep.
Which are usually clues to goals, but they aren't, clues to principles, but they aren't principles themselves. So, yeah, I was going to run over because I was excited because we just filmed it and show you the list with Paul's right. It's
You almost broke your own rule.
I know this has been open to people for as long as I've been talking about principles. But if you make up your list and email it to me, then I'll email my list back to you. So I've actually got a fairly large file of other people's principles now. And the point of that is that once you see both lists, you can cross-pollinate. You can start comparing them, seeing anything that I saw that you missed, anything you saw that I missed, how stuff works together, how it compacts. These lists are not, and again, goes back to that dogmatic thing we talked. These lists are not supposed to be there's one right way. It's I've got my way, it works for me. If my students don't change it, I think there's something fundamentally wrong with them. That they're actively not thinking for themselves. So it's like Tammy's got one up there. It's like, and it's like, no, that's just a minor point of one of the others. Why are you? Because it's her list. That's why.
Zanshin.
Yeah, and Paul's got Zanshin up there, which to me is a concept. I don't care. It works great for him.
It works really well in my brain. So
yeah, and this is about working within your brain, not about trying to replicate something or trying. And again, going back to dogma, it's absolutely not about solidifying this one personality, this one moment of time, and trying to make it something it's not. It's ridiculous.
if I could address something real quick. So Rob Selinsky, and Malcolm's responding to him. So Rob, the video's on YouTube. So we're going to be working on, Rory can only be so much. He's only got so much limited time.
Yeah.
We're trying to create an online resource for people. And I've been poking and prodding him for 2 years now.
Yeah.
He finally caved in January.
Yeah. Also, the talks are super important.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever delivered the same talk again. And right now, if I was not having people watching me, most of the talks would go, well, yada, yada, yada. You guys know all this.
Right. So we're trying to get a clean version that doesn't have yada, yada, yada in it.
It's hard. I'm very lazy.
And that's what the Patreon's all about. So give you guys an opportunity to get great material. It can be hard to get in seminars. It can be time consuming.
Even if you're on the wrong continent.
That can be part of the difficulty as well.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. That's the idea. This was, if you missed the beginning, definitely go back to the beginning and watch. I know some people are going to watch this later. The brainchild here was, hey, let's try this and see what happens. I think it went pretty well with 65 people at one point, which is incredible. So
yeah, so I think it's proof of concept. And thank you guys for being guinea pigs.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was worthwhile and welcome. The hour went really fast. Very interesting stuff. So, and this will be up on Facebook. This isn't going anywhere, so this is a great resource. You guys can look back at it.
Oh yeah, you can you don't even have to do it yourself. You just make your students watch it. Cool.
Oh yeah, that's true. Here's a homework assignment.
You
Watch
guys
this
can
video.
be lazy too. That's awesome.
Allison McDonald said, John Haston agreed. Allison McDonald said more of this would be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we will. We'll try. Rory's only in Natick so much, and in Narnia, where Rory lives, they don't have Wi-Fi. He wants to argue with me, but
no,
it's kind of true.
We're literally on a dish. The DSL line. We're 25 minutes from major international airport, and the DSL line doesn't go to our house. I'm on a dish.
The Witch of Narnia has not allowed internet in. So.
No, she absolutely wants the highest speed and constant contact she can get.
Oh, no, I wasn't referring to Cammy. I was referring to the magical witch in the area.
She's
well,
the
that's.
magical witch in Narnia.
I have not called your wife a witch.
Well, no, you can't. She's
Oh.
a hot witch.
So two things.
Yeah.
Hans wrote, congratulations on no F-bombs. I know that took a lot of effort. True story.
I know I dropped some.
I don't think you did, actually.
I think I did early. I feel like dropping one now just to balance things out. But
don't fucking do that, Rory.
All right.
Stuart Hart, more audiobooks, please. Mr. Miller. So, Stuart, I'll throw the answer out there.
Right.
Some of them he can't because the rights and the publishing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's one that he can that I think would be a really, really good one.
About three.
Three of them.
Well, Principles I can do, ConCom.
Yep.
VOG.
Yep.
So yeah, and I'd like to actually do a rewrite on Talking Them Through. So
we have an idea. I have an idea. For those who know the book Conflict Communications, Rory now, he's not done yet. Edwin, hit the little old lady at the back of the fucking neck.
See, I told you, and I'm sure I dropped at least one.
I like Edwin caught that.
Yeah.
So it's an idea of Conflict Communications, fantastic book, and there's a lecture that goes along with it. Unless you've ever been like the Valence Dynamics seminars, ConCom's kind of the cornerstone of it. I don't think you do it normally in your weekend seminars very much, right?
I usually do it as like if someone brings me for weekend, I'll do a
Friday
standalone. And this Viodi, I don't know if it's going to be Viodi Prime or DC or both, but Casey is going to be doing ConCom, and he hasn't done it publicly in a really long time, and his version is very good.
For those who don't know, there's another page on here called Valence Dynamics. Go like them. Rory's a big part of that team with Casey Keckeisen, Tammy McCracken, who's one of the directors here, Randy King. Terry jumps in when we can convince him out of his.
Well, and when we can get him.
When we can get him. He's a big, Terry's kind of a big deal. So.
Kind of a big deal. And that you can't get a passport.
So we have a goal of getting ConCom with a voiceover with the PowerPoint onto a video. We're working on that. That will kind of sort of go along with it. Yep, Alex McDonald, Viodi DC, exciting. Yep, yes, Devon, ConCom online courses in the works.
Yeah.
It's an idea. We're working on it.
Yeah, at least you'll be able to go through the video the way we do it, or not the video, but the PowerPoints the way we do it live with the video, because like any decent PowerPoint, the important stuff's not on the slide. So.
Andrew and Brian, there were F-bombs for sure.
I was pretty sure there were. I didn't think I could be good for that long.
All right. Cool. That was pretty awesome. That went really well.
That actually worked, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right, now we have no idea how to say goodbye.
We have no idea how to sign off, so.
Yeah, we need some music or something.
Playout music? What would it be?
Pinky.
Rory's not allowed to pick music.
Pinky in the Brain is what I would pick, so.
You're the brain. Anyway.
No.
That makes me pinky. All right, guys. Thank you. This is going to live on Facebook, so you guys can watch it later. Somebody said the reveal at the end is a pretty big deal. So
it's a huge.
Yep.
We don't think about that. We don't think it. Bad guys are not stupid, or we would have ran out of them a long time ago. And when we try to extrapolate from fighting to surviving an ambush, we tend to fuck that up badly.
True.
It's not the same thing.
All right, cool. Any last words, Mr. Miller?
No.
All right, guys. Well, from Boston, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on here soon.
Cool.
And